Welcome, friends, to the first class on the universal laws. We're going to start with an introduction into the universal laws, and then we're going to go into the first law, and that is the law of karma or the law of cause and effect. And we're going to work on this one because we're in active Capricorn season. And astrologically, these are the two that marry together, so we will talk about them as the energy fits. So we're going to go into general understandings of the nature and natural laws of the universe. So laws are universally recognized as principles with binding force and effect governing the natural order. So essentially, we cannot touch them. They're not physical, but they still have a definitive effect on our lives. Universal laws reflect this definition, representing unseen yet profoundly powerful forces that shape every facet of existence. For example, take the law of gravity. Though invisible and intangible, its influence is irrefutable, affecting every person and object on Earth. These laws operate beyond our perception, yet remain integral to the fabric of our reality. Just as gravity anchors us to the ground, universal laws guide and govern our lives, whether we are conscious of it or their presence. So, unique and profound qualities of the 12 universal laws. So, the laws carry certain rules or certain definitions that mark them true as a law. Okay. One of those is that it's intangible, it's one of the key qualities. So these laws are invisible and cannot be touched, yet their effects influence every aspect of life. As mentioned, though unseen, their power is undeniable and ever present. They are also boundless, meaning these laws are not confined by borders or geography. They are applying, they apply to the universe and all beings as we know it. Like the air, they exist everywhere and are accessible to everyone. And they're also timeless. So these laws transcend time, existing eternally without beginning or end. They have always been, continue to be, and will remain forever. And those are three bases that we use all in science and in life. And I'm going to share a little example of how this has helped us even to advance in our knowledge of the solar system. With these laws being put into place, we discover a lot in the universe. So the universal laws have been made popular. And I think this is really interesting because people have made companies and they have put together very powerful teachings that are centered and rooted in one law. And over time, they kind of can fall through because when you focus and put so much energy into one law, it actually creates an imbalance, as we're supposed to hold the consciousness of all the 12 laws, which, by the way, there's way more laws. However, we focus on these 12 because that's where human consciousness is. Like, we can understand them the fullest and account for them. And so we focus on these 12. But as I mentioned, there's a lot more. And as we grow and expand and our consciousness expands, possibly we bring more in, but that will come with time. But there has been people who do focus on just one law, which I think is good because it teaches you the foundation that a law becomes, but it also kind of caps out at a certain extent because there's only so far that one area can take you without having to look at the rest. So inevitably they will take you to a place where you need to ask more questions. So one example of this is The Secret, which captures the law of attraction, and it was even more popularized in the movie The Secret, which teaches the intention and energy can manifest desires, but it is only one of the 12 universal laws that work together in harmony. Another example of this is Abraham Hicks, who essentially teaches the law of one. And Abraham Hicks is about keeping things simple, right? Keeping things back to its origin. So when you have something very complex and you're trying to solve it through the complexity that it is, it takes you back to the 0 point, right? So it makes it easy for people to digest, and it's tangible, and it takes you back to center. And Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex, right? This is your vortex. This is your happy place. This is where no human decisions have to be made. They are all simplified, right? And what I think is fascinating is that this is the law of oneness, which is connected to Pisces. And Esther, who channels Abraham, is a Pisces. So I think she's perfect for the message because she can hold the frequency. So she's here very much teaching the frequency of oneness, which for the next person that could be a little bit that law could be a little bit more challenging or not their focus, right? And this is how we see them tied back to astrology. But what happens over time, which I love the law of oneness when it comes to Abraham Hicks teachings. I actually have all of their oracle cards, most of their books. I've seen her in person. I love her, but it did cap out for me at some point where I was like, well, what else is going on? Like how much more could I do with this? Or how does it come back? Because remember, the law of oneness really promotes peace and it promotes trust in the universe, but it doesn't promote anything beyond that, like financial stability for the most part, or getting your desires, or clearing out your own karma or anything like that, right? So you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm pretty much at peace. I've accepted this part of life or this area of life or myself. What else is out there, right? So those teachings cap out, and I often wonder if these people know what how this how this is connected to the laws, because can we keep it going? Because then that would be cool. It would make a complete teaching. And this is why I've really, I guess you could say, anchored myself with astrology, because you can see the 12 laws play out, and the universe, as you can see in the mentorship, the universe will make sure that you go through lessons, and 4 weeks at a time. 4 weeks, you're going to spend 4 weeks in the law of karma. And then we're going to spend 4 weeks in the law of detachment. And that's every astrological zodiac season. You get to attend this class. And as I mentioned, some classes are easy, some classes are not. But it's so good for you to see, engage where you are with this and how your energy responds to it. So I'm thinking of putting together tests for these classes. I just don't know how frequently I'm going to do them. If I should do them per class or every 3 classes. You guys will vote in the chat, because up to me, I would do it each class, right? But I know that may be a lot for some people. Okay, relying solely on this law is like fishing with a hook but no bait. It lacks the support of the other interconnected laws. To manifest effectively and achieve true fulfillment, it is essential to understand and align with all 12 universal laws as they form a holistic framework that empowers transformation, personal growth, and the realization of your goals. So the 12 universal laws are guiding principles that blend science, spirit, and metaphysics. offering a framework for understanding life. I would say that at some point, all these three were together in one, they were not separated, which made progression, spiritual progression, much more easier. These laws help us navigate day to day situations, providing clarity and a broader perspective, especially when things don't go as planned. That's a big one, especially for fire signs, for people who have South Node in fire signs. Because when things don't go at your will, causes a lot of frustration because you're used to manifesting through your will so much that when it doesn't go your way, it's a little bit challenging. Far from being rigid rules, these laws act as a roadmap showing how universal intelligence is organized and how we can align with it. They guide us in mastering life on all levels, helping us understand where we are and why we're there and how to move toward our goals. So one of the ways that we use these laws time and time again is even when we're doing research on the heavens. So if I could take you back to, let me see if I can get my dates. If I can take you back to, we have a date when we discovered Neptune, good old Neptune in the sky, in the heavens. So we didn't know that Neptune was up there. The scientists just keep the laws in place. So the laws vibrate mathematically and they all work together, even through the solar system. So the planets match that energy. And so that's how we know that we're in truth, we're in alignment, because when we do our calculations, it pans out, right? And then there was a certain area where Neptune was, where those laws, mathematically, they didn't come together smoothly for the scientists. So they didn't know exactly why. But they assumed that something was there interrupting their laws. And they didn't stop researching until they could answer why. So what they would do was study the absence of it. And they studied the coordinates, the mathematical space and the length and the width and all these things, right? Of what could be there. So with studying the absence of it, they got the idea that there could be a planet there with the circumference and everything else given the other planets. So they're like, I think we possibly have a planet here. And over time, of course, later they discovered Neptune was there. And so once they plugged in Neptune, then the laws came back in, the grid came back in for them, and everything made sense again. We were back in alignment. So these laws help us to define things even when we don't know what they are. But if we stick to them, we can build a harmonious, aligned existence. And this is how also we discover more. I'm pretty sure this is how we will discover the next planet too. And therefore our consciousness will grow as well. Did I read these? Yeah. Did I? No. I didn't read the last one. The laws guide us in mastering life on all levels, helping us understand where we are, or why we're there, and how to move forward. I did. What I want to say about this one is that is kind of what makes it super easy, but also super hard to follow the laws. Because if you can align to the laws, it's just one thing you have to do, but it's one massive big thing you have to do. But when you can get yourself into alignment with it, it answers for everything. And it calls in all levels of existence, from the spiritual to the physical, which with a lot of effort, possibly, when you do align with these, they answer so many questions, and the output is abundant, okay, because you're tackling things at the core, and so things just start falling in much more easier. So as you're doing this throughout the year and you come into a law that you just kind of you don't understand, you can't quite connect with it, you're annoyed by it, you can't see it. It's good to study it. It's good to do the shadow work behind it and get a clear understanding. And if you do come across this, let me know because I can share even more material on any one specific law to help you troubleshoot that, because that's the point of this and what we're doing. Okay. As numerologist and author Novalee Wilder explains, the laws create flow and offer insight for creating a life of purpose and fulfillment. They are timeless principles rooted in ancient cultures, oh my God, including Hawaiian and Egyptian traditions. They are often associated with Hopo ono opo, Hopo ono pono, I think. I looked this up right before. And this is the song I want to show you. A Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness that promotes healing and freedom by addressing the energetic and emotional imbalances within yourself. So the Hawaiian culture and practice has become a lot more prominent in astrology over, I would say, since 1960. And the reason for this is because we built the biggest observatory in Hawaii. And the reason Hawaii was chosen was because of the height. It was so tall. One of the tallest mountains in the world. So Hawaii has an observatory that is enormously big, and there's a treaty with all the states in the whole world to essentially learn about the universe. So I happened to be there without knowing any of this. I went to visit and I made sure I went here, and you could see stations. It's the coolest thing in the world. You can see what do you call it? What do you call them? Lenses, big old stations to see the outside. Um, you can see them anchored and they're set up, and they have flags all over them. So you could see Japan's station where they're recording the heavens. You could see everybody from all over the world. They're all there. They have rounds there. Now, the agreement that was done with the Hawaiian people was that they would donate 10% of their findings to the people of Hawaii. And it was free education for them, free knowledge that they can partake in. And the second thing was that they would name the findings, any new star, asteroid, or even planet that they found, they would name it off of the Hawaiian culture. And so they've held this true, because when you name a star, there's also a second rule that you can only name them through mythology. You can't just, for the most part, you can't just name a star like home or medicine or something like that. It has to be rooted in mythology or in a historical figure or in a rich name. Okay. So what they've done is they've used a lot of the Hawaiian culture, the Hawaiian mythology, folk stories that they have, and they've named the planets this. So if you go into the six dwarf planets, I don't have my book, but some of the ones that are up are Makemake, which is a new one. You also have Haumea, which is another one, and they're all named under Hawaiian principles, Hawaiian practices. So we have started to integrate more of their culture into astrology as we learn about these individual mythology characters and stories. Because what astrologers then do is get the new discoveries and start associating definitions to them. And I have a book here somewhere of the latest. Let me see if I can find it because I want to read them to you. Just a second. I can't find it, but it's the one that I mentioned in our last class that we're going to be studying. So remember, the books that I use the most are the ones I can never find. But that book contains all of the newest discoveries, and a lot of them are associated to Hawaii. Now, Hawaii isn't the only place we have um, observatories. They're all over, so they're not all Hawaii. But I think that's cool because it's nice. So if you have some time, look up Hopo Onopono, and there's a lot of prayers, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of richness in those meditations. This method complements the universal laws by fostering inner alignment and clearing blockages that hinder well-being. Oh, I see. So yeah, the meditation that you can look up here, it's meant to clear you out. So for example, if you focus one on a certain law and your body has a lot of tension with it or resistance, you can use it to purge almost. You can use it to purge you and work things through, which I've done this not with this frequency. Hi, Jasmine. We are talking about, we're still in our introduction to the laws, and we're at the space of Hawaii and talking about their observatory that has led to more recent development in astrology, which I mentioned that in the mentorship, we're going to start looking into these new celestial bodies more because they're going to become more prominent. And there's a few of them in there that are being considered as new planets. But there's always talk there. There's always talk of like asteroids being promoted and things like this in the astrology world, but it really comes over time. And it'll always be optional for the astrologer. For me, it's just like, okay, we are going to pay attention to this one a little bit more than we have been. So this is how this culture has used the laws into their practice, and we can learn a little bit from that. So if you have some time, like I mentioned, look up some meditations and prayers and see what resonates with you and what doesn't. It's always interesting learning about new cultures too. Okay, so the laws extend beyond manifestation, such as the law of attraction, forming an interconnected framework that influences every aspect of life. They teach valuable lessons about happiness, success, and harmony, offering clarity on one's place in the world and guiding personal growth. By understanding these laws and integrating practices like Hopo Onopono, individuals can heal, align with universal truths and experience a profound transformation in their perception and life. Okay, so now we're going to go into the first law. Understanding how actions from past lives or current lives influence the present and reflecting on how to create positive karma through mindful, compassionate actions. So as we talk about this, we're going to first talk about this lifetime, and then I'll bring in how this like extends to past lives. So I don't want you to get confused as in the law of karma is only past life energy or past life stuff. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get my notes here. We are in here, just have some notes, even though I never look at them. Okay. So the law of karma is a foundational universal spiritual law that operates on the principle of cause and effect. It is first seen as the law of cause and effect, but it has become very popular with the law of karma. But karma is a teaching, cultural teaching. So if we effectively want to just concentrate on the laws, we go into the law of cause and effect. Okay. Every action, intention, and thought you put forth creates ripples in the energetic field or the universe. Hi, Alfredo. We just got into the law. We covered the general idea of the laws, so you can look at the recording for that. And then now we're focused on the law of karma, which we're talking about because it is related directly to Capricorn and Saturn, which is the season that we're currently in. Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And then we'll keep any questions that we have towards the end, but you guys can also use the chat in case something needs to be said. Okay. I have my chat box up here. Awesome. Happy to see you all. Okay. So the law of karma is the foundational, universal spiritual law that operates on the principle of cause and effect. Every action, intention, and thought you put forth creates ripples in the energetic field of the universe. These ripples return to you, magnified and reflecting the quality of energy that you initiated, offering an opportunity for conscious alignment with discipline, responsibility, and creation. So it doesn't come back to you in the same form, it multiplies, it grows, it expands. And so the quality that you put out is what grows, the energy that you put out is what grows. And that essentially over time comes back to you. And I think that's where we have a lot to learn about is time. When does it come back? That's time is the question of manifestation. When do you get things back? That's what everybody wants to know. We'll talk about that. Every action creates an equal energetic effect, encompassing both positive and negative outcomes, returning to you a deposit for the energy you initiated. So if you ever get lazy about the energy that you put out or the cause and effect idea, karma, think of it as depositing checks to the universe. Do I want to deposit a negative $200,000 check to the universe? Because that's what I'm going to get back, or maybe even more negative, right? So consider this, and this is for how you benefit, if anything, right? Because it's hard for us to sometimes bring the care into it. But what am I going to deposit that is eventually going to come back to me? Okay. This is not punishment or retaliation, but rather the dynamic flow of energy balancing itself through give and take. In alignment with spiritual laws, the law of karma reflects the effects of not only your actions, but also your thoughts and feelings, creating a cycle of energy exchange that ultimately seeks harmony. So that is a huge part that I want to emphasize in is that do you do a deposit for then the universe to be like jackpot, jackpot, jackpot? That's not how the universe works. The universe is only ever always wanting balance. That is how you truly win in life. And I know a lot of people, it's hard to understand this when you want $1 million and that doesn't look like balance to you, right? But when balance is in existence, then you have freedom for anything to channel through. At that point, you have expression and it's godly expression. So when you have balance, then you can actually create space for God's word to be seen, right? God's bank account, God's miracles, right? Because there isn't anything interjecting, right? If something energetically through the laws is in balance, then we cannot divinate, we cannot talk through it. We have to first make balance. And that is why working through your personal karma is so important because we want to get you to a neutral space for you. Everybody has a different neutral. Everybody has a different definition of harmony and balance. But if we can get you to your balance, to your harmony, then you create space to be a channel where the universe can speak through you. And guess what you become when you're a channel? You become a co-creator to the universe, a very important piece to the universe. We need her. We need him. They're a channel for us to express God through the earthly realm. So we need to take care of them fully. is how this works. And in that comes the principle of you're doing the work, you're balanced, you're an asset, you're co-creating with the universe, you have access to God's bank account. What do you need? And that's another law that we're going to talk about in May, the law of divine compensation. Everybody has a right for abundance when they are in their gifts.